Hello and welcome to today's video. This is my 20 free books I want to read in 2023. Basically, I've just gone through my shelves and I'm like, what books am I super excited about? What books do I want to make sure I read in 2023? And these are just all the books that if you told me right now I was only going to read 23 books in 2023, these would probably be them. Obviously, I hope and plan to read a lot more, but these are, you know, 23 and 23 is a nice number. And these are just all the books that I plan on reading. There is no particular rhyme or reason as to the order that they're in. They're literally just the order I'll pick them out off the shelves of. So I guess, like, you can kind of see my mind and how it was working, but also I'm really crap at remembering where I put books on these shelves because it is just done to maximise space as best as possible. So even though you might be able to see a bit of a theme with like how the book's going on, honestly there isn't one. These are just 23 books that I'm super excited about and really want to read, and hopefully I'll read them in 2023. I don't think there's any 2022 releases here. I think these are all older, but oh no, I think there's one here that came out in 2022. The rest are all considerably older books and just books that I'm really interested in. A lot of them are new to me. I've got them within the last year, but the books themselves are quite old. So yeah, if there are any books within these piles, within, you know, what I show today, that is one of your favourites, the books that you really think I should prioritise above the others, let me know down below. Like, I am super up for changing around like the order and how I'm going to be doing this. Like, obviously I pick my TBR every month using a TBR game, so I will be picking books that fit the correct prompts. So I can't guarantee what order I can do it in, but yeah, especially like the first 6 I would say will probably be the first 6 that I read on the list. But after that, it's all a bit wishy-washy. Could be anything, could be anywhere, and I'm super open to changing it and figuring out a different way to read these books. I do think that all these books are ones that even if I didn't read in 2023, I'd still be like super interested in. So I'm hoping by putting it in a video, I'm holding myself accountable to actually get these books read and not get distracted by all the new shiny ones I get in 2023. So yeah, let's get into the books. The first book on the list is The Priory of the Orange Tree. I found this in a charity shop for £2.50. This, like, I'm really excited about this. Also, when I got it, I thought it was a standalone, and this year, I think, or maybe it's the start of next year, either out or out sometime soon, there is a prequel to this as well. So it's not just this one book in this world, there's another book, and I'm super excited to read it, give it a go. All I really know, high fantasy, dragons, that's what I know about this book, and it just makes me so excited. And most books, if they were this size, I would find them intimidating, but for some reason this one, I don't. Like, it just makes me more excited that I get all of these pages to explore. Don't know why that is, couldn't figure it out, but that's how I'm feeling. So all it really says on the back of this book is, a world divided, a queendom without an heir, an ancient enemy awakens. I'm really excited by this, as you can probably tell, and I definitely think I will get it read within the next 12 months. The next book is Realmbreaker by Victoria Aveyard. I loved the Red Queen series when I read it, and I really want to pick up this new series. I do only own book 1 at the moment, although there are more books out in it now. I think book 2 is definitely out, book 3 might be out, I'm not sure. But yeah, I own book 1 and I'm super excited to start it, figure out if I like it, figure out how the world works. I've heard it's very different to the Red Queen, but written in a very similar way. And yeah, I know little about it. A squire, the survivor of a failed quest, an immortal, timeless and unfathomable, an assassin, skilled and heartless, an old school sorceress holding secrets behind her teeth, and a pirate's daughter, the ward's last hope. The heroes are gone, but the fight to save the world has only just begun. So it looks like we're going to follow 5 perspectives to save the world. I'm intrigued because I've read Red Queen and love that series so much. I'm excited about this, even though I know very little about it, so we'll just have to figure it out. I really hope I like it and I really hope I enjoy it. I really want new series to get into and get excited for when the books are coming out, because I don't really have many of those at the moment. Book 3, we have Assassin's Apprentice. This is book 1 of the Farseer trilogy. I'm eventually going to start Robin Hobb this year. I am so determined that I'm going to start Robin Hobb this year. I own all of this first trilogy, so I am hopeful that throughout the year I will at least read this whole trilogy, but on this list I'm only putting book 1. I definitely feel like within the first 2-3 months of the year I would like to have read this. It is quite chunky and quite big. This is over 500 pages, I think. Oh no, just under. It is 480. So yeah, this is about Fitz, who I know is a child at the start of this book and gets sent to live with someone, I think, but then the person disappears, and basically Fitz is made or trained to be an assassin, I think. I assume this is where the story is going. On the back it says, Fitz is a royal bastard, cast out into the world with only his magical link with animals for solace and companionship. But when Fitz is adopted into the royal household, he must give up his old ways and learn a new life. Weaponry, scribing, courtly manners, and how to kill a man secretly. Meanwhile, raiders ravage the coasts, leaving the people forged and soulless. As Fitz grows towards manhood, he will have to face his first terrifying mission, a task that poses as much risk to himself as it does to his target. For Fitz is a threat to the throne, but he may also be the key to the future of the kingdom. I'm really intrigued. It's like, again, massive world to explore, high fantasy, big series. Although there's only 3 books in the first trilogy, I think there's 15 or 16 books in this world altogether, and it's one I'm really excited to start. I'm really excited to learn more about. Then book number 4 is one I think I will get off the list so quickly. I'm so excited about this and I keep telling myself just to wait till the new year. I've got so many books I'm in the middle of this year that I need to finish. Like, don't start this, don't start this, don't start this, but I really want to start this. This is Binti. This is a novella, so you know, it's only tiny. It's 90 pages. And there's only 3 books in this series, I think, but it sounds so good and so interesting, and it's by Tor, which gives me even more hope. This year I've got really into the Murderbot series and loved all of those, and I just want more like it, so that's what I'm hoping to get from this. I ran out of space. Hopefully this still looks pretty much the same as when we started. But yeah, this is Binti, and on the back it says, she left her home for the stars, but found more adventure than she bargained for. A tense and intimate coming-of-age story in space. Her name is Binti, and she is the first of the Himba people ever to be offered a place at h.eather University, the finest institution of higher learning in the galaxy. But to accept the offer will mean giving up her place in her family, to travel between the stars among strangers who do not share her ways or respect her customs. Knowledge comes at a cost, one thing that Binti is willing to pay, but her journey will not be easy. The world she seeks to enter has long warred with the Meduse, an alien race that has become the stuff of nightmares. h.eather University has wronged the Meduse, and Binti's stellar travel will bring her within their deadly reach. If Binti hopes to survive the legacy of a war not of her making, she will need both the gifts of her people and the wisdom enshrined within the university itself. But first, she has to make it there alive. This sounds so good. It sounds like so much fun, and I'm just really intrigued by it and really want to give it a read. I've heard a lot of good things about this book, and I mean, this cover is also absolutely stunning. I'm so intrigued by it. Like, yeah, it's taken a lot not just to read it. And also I know the audiobook for this is on Scribd, and I've heard the audio is good for it too, so yeah, really looking forward to this. Book number 5 will be like the first book in a genre for me, I think. I think that this will be my first like dark academia book. I know that's not really a genre, but like it basically is nowadays, right? And this is Plain Bad Heroines. So I know not very much about this, except for it is, I think, fantasy and dark academia, I think, and I'm really intrigued by it, and this cover is just, I mean, you'd want to pick it up when it looks like this. So yeah, really intrigued by it, really feel like it's going to be one to start off 2023 with. On the back it says Brookhant School for Girls, infamous site of a series of tragic deaths over 100 years ago, soon to be the subject of a controversial horror movie about the rumoured Brookhant curse. In the early 1900s, Brookhant students Flo and Clara fell madly in love, brought together by their obsession for a scandalous memoir. A few months later, they were found dead in the woods after a horrific wasp attack. The book lying next to their entwined bodies 3 more grisly deaths followed before the school was forced to close. Now, the school's doors are open once more, but as the crew of glamorous young actresses assemble to start filming, past and present begin to blur, and soon it's impossible to tell quite where the curse ends and Hollywood begins. I think that sounds great, and I feel like it's going to be a good one to just get to grips with the genre, to learn more about it, to figure out what I like and dislike. And the story itself really intrigues me. Like, what is this? Like, we don't know. Like, is this just unfortunate deaths? Is this murder? Is this supernatural? Is this anything? We don't know. We don't know, and I'm really intrigued to learn more. Then we have the first non-fiction of the list, and that is Invisible Women, Exposing Data Bias in a World Designed for Men. I just think this is going to be a really amazing read, and a read that's really important. I definitely want to get more into non-fiction again. I used to read more of it, and I used to consume it in different ways as well. I just haven't recently, honestly, not surprising. You know, I know we're at the, well, hopefully at the tail end of the pandemic now. Like, I know it's still happening, it's still present, even though we don't see it as much in the UK. But it does seem to be getting better. I'm not surprised I wasn't reading non-fiction, like, during the few years we've had. I'm really not. Like, it's not what my brain wanted or needed, so I'm not surprised I haven't been reading a lot of it, but I'm ready to pick it back up. And I've done quite a bit of research and got a few books that really intrigue me and I'm really interested in. So yeah, this is one of them. And this is essentially a book all about data bias and how the world really is made for men. Like, yeah, it's non-fiction, this is fact. So I'll read the back of it because I think that explains it really well. But yeah, I really think it's going to be an important read, and a read to start a path of many more reads. Imagine a world where your phone is too big for your hand, your doctor prescribes a drug that is wrong for your body. In a car accident, you are 47% more likely to be seriously injured. If any of this sounds familiar, chances are that you're a woman. For government policy and medical research to technology, workplaces and the media, Invisible Women reveals how in a world largely built for and by men, we are systemically ignoring half the population, often with disastrous consequences. Caroline Criado Perez, I will look up the correct pronunciation of the author's name, brings together for the first time an impressive range of case studies, stories and new research from across the world that illustrate the hidden ways in which women are forgotten and the profound impact this has on us all. Yeah, I mean, I hope to get out of this book what I'm hoping to get out of it. I think it's going to be really good, really interesting, and a nice start to have a way to be like, you know, real world things to back up something, like, you know, a lot of us deal with. Like, I know that there's a lot in here that will seem obvious to me. I do think I'm already quite aware of the injustices of identifying as a woman and being a woman in the world we live in. And I feel like I will get a lot from this book, but I think it will also hopefully help me have the words and real life information to explain better to those in my life who maybe don't understand or don't agree with facts. So yeah, there we go, that's that one. Then next up is a memoir, I guess you'd call it. So yeah, this is one that I've never intended to read, never thought I would read, but during 2022 I read Becoming by Michelle Obama. Thought it was great, thought it was amazing, so I thought I might as well pick up A Promise. My dad's calling. So the book is A Promised Land by Barack Obama. So this is like his memoir autobiography thing, a riveting, deeply personal account of the history in the making from the president who inspired us to believe in the power of democracy. I don't know, it's a really long like synopsis. It goes from the front all the way onto the back, but I'm not going to read it all. But essentially I wasn't expecting Michelle Obama's to be any good, honestly. Like, I know that sounds terrible, but like I didn't go into it with like high hopes or expectations. So just, it intrigued me enough to pick up. Again, found it in a charity shop. Again, found this one in a charity shop. This is how most of them get on the list. yeah, really intrigued by this, want to find out more. I paid £2 for this, so if it ends up not being as good as hers or not something I'm interested in, it's £2, it's not the end of the world. And yeah, I am genuinely really intrigued by this and want to know more, I guess, which isn't something I ever felt, except for in Michelle Obama's memoir Becoming. We got snippets of what he was up to and like things that were going on that just made me intrigued to pick this up. So yeah, I don't have massively high hopes, but again, audiobook for this one is available through my library and I'm just hoping it's going to be good. I'm hoping for the best. Then number 8, we have another non-fiction. This is Pain and Prejudice. It's a call to arms for women and their bodies, and you know, it is basically about the suffering women and how there's a lot of prejudice when it comes to medical fields and getting the correct diagnosis or the correct tablets, or how, you know, a lot of tablets that are prescribed aren't actually to fix the problem, they just happen to fix that. You're actually taking tablets for something else. Stuff like that, and how, you know, we don't have a lot of information, and in fact I am pretty sure that most of the information that we have about, I don't know a way to say this on YouTube, women's bits and bobs areas. They sound so stupid, but like I don't feel like I can use correct names on YouTube. I mean, I may be wrong. Stupid thing to be a rule, but I've never heard anyone, so let's just stick with bits and bobs areas. We only have that information due to very problematic people who used enslaved women. So yeah, honestly, it's a massive problem. It's something that we need a lot more research and time and money probably is the biggest barrier to go into, but it doesn't seem to get prioritised, even though it is a massive thing and something that, you know, research should be put into. We need to figure out why these problems are happening, why so many people are suffering, but money's not put into it, time isn't put into it, research doesn't happen. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much of this is going to be specific to anything. Like in the contents, it looks like it covers a lot of different things, and I also don't know if this is, you know, everything I want. I feel like this book may be a starting point, and afterwards I will look into it even more and find other books that, you know, talk about these problems and these things and history and all that. But yeah, really intrigued by this, really want to give it a read. Then at number 9, I have School Degree Pleasant. I want to make sure I read this in 2023. I'm pretty sure this series is now finished. I think there's like 15, 16 books, something like that in the series. I've been slowly collecting them from charity shops for the last year and a half, 2 years. I think I only need 1 or 2 more to have all of them between books 1 and 10. And obviously the new ones are a bit more difficult to find, but even those are, you know, you can get cheap. So yeah, I want to get this started. I have been looking at them. As you can see, I paid 95p for this. I don't think I've paid more than £15 for all the books I have in the series so far, and there's quite a lot. But I am aware that it's one that I'm collecting without 100% knowing I'm going to read all of them. I have read books 1 and 2 before when I was younger, but I was probably 12, 13 when I read books 1 and 2. I don't remember a lot about them, except for that I really enjoyed it, and that now that I want to reread them, I wish I'd kept my original copies, because they had like bright orange sprayed edges for the first one and bright green for the second one, and like you can't get those anymore, they're no longer a thing. But yeah, that is it. School Degree Pleasant. It is about a wisecracking detective, powerful magician, sworn enemy of evil, and he's dead. So yeah, that's what we're following, that's the story, and I'm ready to have a fun, good time with it. Another one I'd really like to get to this year is Elantris. I've attempted to read this once before and got to chapter 14. That's where my bookmark still is. It is just very big brain energy. I feel like I need like a couple of weeks put aside where I'm only reading this, because it's almost 600 pages, so it's a lot to take in. It's high fantasy, it's a big world, and it's very descriptive, it's very in-depth, and there's a lot of information that you're given in this one to do with the world, to do with the politics, to do with everything that you really need to make sure you're following along with. And honestly, I got to a point where I just couldn't. I rarely read only one book at a time, and I was unable to read this whilst reading other books, so I really want to make it a priority at some point in the next year to properly read this, properly get into it and really enjoy it. And it's also a standalone, I'm pretty sure, so it'll be a nice one to just have a read, have the full story, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Then we have Dawn by Octavia E. Butler. I have not yet read any Octavia E. Butler. It is an author that I really want to try, really want to give a go. They're all sci-fi or sci-fi adjacent books, I believe. And this is Dawn. This is book 1 in a trilogy. I'm pretty sure a trilogy. And it just sounds really cool. I'm really intrigued by it. I like sci-fi, but I'm quite specific in what I like with sci-fi, and I feel like this could be a new author that's an author for me. So I'm going to read the back. When Liv Aopo wakes in a small white room with no doors or windows, she remembers a devastating war and a husband and child long lost to her. She finds herself living among the Oakali, a strange race who intervened in the fate of humanity hundreds of years before. They spared those they could from ruined earth and suspended them in long deep sleep. Over centuries the Oakali learned from the past, cured disease and healed the world. Now they want Lilith to lead her people back home, but salvation comes at a price. To restore humanity, it must be changed forever. I think that sounds so good and I'm so intrigued by it. I really want to give it a read. Then next up at number 12 is Reprieve. This is one that I'm really intrigued by, I really want to read. But it hasn't been getting the best reviews, which I think is why I haven't read it yet. However, I am still really intrigued by it. I really want to give it a go, and I think my expectations for what this is are quite realistic, whereas I think the negativity I've seen is people who were expecting something they haven't got. So this is also the Waterstones exclusive edition with the little blood dripping. And in here it says, on the 27th of April 1997, 4 contestants make it to the final cell of the Quigley House, a full-contact haunted escape room made famous for its monstrosities. If the group can endure its horrors without shouting the safe word, reprieve, they'll walk away with $60,000, joining the only other group in the house's long history to have won. But before they can complete the challenge, a man breaks into the cell and kills one of the contestants. Those who were present on that fateful night lend their points of view. Kendra Brown, a teenager uprooted from her childhood home after the loss of her father. Leonard Granton, a hotel manager caught in a series of toxic entanglements. And J.D. Chorensuk, an international student who came to the US in search of his former English teacher. As each character's journey unfurls, deceits and misunderstandings fueled by obsession and prejudice are revealed, forcing all to reckon with the ways in which their beliefs and actions contributed to a horrifying catastrophe. So I think that sounds really interesting. I'm really intrigued by it. Not a lot of this is going to take place in the escape room. That is a fact I know, and I don't think it's a spoiler. You know, the main event happens there, but I think a lot of it is more about like the character study of all these people and learning from everyone's perspective what led up to that day and how things potentially could have been stopped. I think, I don't know if that's 100% the direction they go in, but I think that's kind of where it is. I think a lot of people go into this expecting it to mainly take place in the escape room, and that's why people are disappointed. But I'm not expecting that, so I'm really hoping for the best. It's also got a really pretty like under the disc jacket thing, which isn't important, but it always just helps when a book's pretty. So that's that one. Then we have another pretty book, and this is Ariadne. This is one I've been meaning to get to for so long. Greek mythology, Greek myth retelling is a style of book that I think I'm going to really enjoy. But I do find them quite intimidating, so I don't think I prioritise them at all, but this year is going to be the year of prioritising them. So yeah, this is Ariadne. It is a Greek myth retelling. A princess of Crete and daughters of the fearsome King Minos, Ariadne and her sisters, Pedra, is that how you say it? I hope that's how you say it, grow up hearing the terrible bellows of the Minotaur from the labyrinth beneath the palace. The Minotaur, Minos, sees greatest shame, and Ariadne's brother demands blood every year. When Theseus, Prince of Athens, arrives in Crete as a sacrifice to the beast, Ariadne falls in love with him. But helping Theseus defeat the monster means betraying her family, and Ariadne knows that in a world ruled by mercurial gods, drawing their attention can cost you everything. Ariadne has heard too many tales of women being punished for the acts of men. She is determined to set her own fate, but will her decision to help Theseus ensure her happy ending, or will she find herself sacrificed for her lover's ambition? I am so intrigued by that. I think it's going to be really interesting. I know the basics of the story, you know. I mean, I've read Percy Jackson, and that alone I feel like gives a bit away. But yeah, I know the basics of the story because it's Greek mythology. But I don't know what liberties, I guess, this story's going to take. I don't know if it's going to follow the exact same route or if it's going to have differences in it, but I'm really intrigued by it and I really want to give it a go, and I think it could be a 5-star prediction, honestly. Next up we have The Song of Achilles. This is some sort of anniversary edition, I believe. 10th anniversary special edition. Honestly, I again think it's going to be a 5-star book. If it's not a 5-star book, I will probably swap it to a regular edition, but yeah, this is why I've got this, because again, I think it's going to be a 5-star. This is, I'm pretty sure the story of Achilles. I mean, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, we were like gods at the dawning of the world, and our joy was so bright we could see nothing else but the other. That's all it says in the synopsis of this, but I'm very intrigued by it, really want to give it a go. And again, another Greek mythology that I've had for a year now and have not prioritised, so this will be the year I prioritise it. Then we have one that I'm pretty sure came out in 2022, or at least the English translation I'm pretty sure came out in 2022. Did it? No. So I don't think there's any books on here that came out in 2022 then, because I think this is the one I thought did. But it was actually 2021. But this is First Person Singular by Murakami, and I'm intrigued by this. I've just noticed that this exclusively designed for Waterstone sticker is not a sticker, which honestly greatly upsets me. Especially when the buy one get one half price one, which is like opposite it, is a real sticker, so I can peel that off. I had not realised that was not a real sticker. Okay, well, that's great. But yeah, basically I own a few Murakami books now because I do often find them in charity shops and places. So I think I've got here Killing Commendator, and I think I have another one somewhere else, but basically I haven't read any yet, so this is going to be my start. It's a shorter one than a lot of their others, and I think it's going to be really intriguing. On the back here it just says, "Hero was a first person singular. If I'd chosen a different direction, most likely I wouldn't be here, but still, who's that in the mirror?" In these 8 stories, international best-selling author Haruki Murakami explores the world of his own utterly unique perspective. From the imaginative to the intimate, he moves from an alternate history of the legendary jazz musician Charlie Parker to a man reminiscing about his childhood girlfriend. These stories encompass his great enthusiasms for baseball, jazz and the Beatles, and demonstrates his singular, memorising voice. I'm really intrigued by this. I'm really excited to give it a go. Then we have The Luminaries. This is one I picked up because of not what I've heard about it, but the idea of it, I guess. Yeah, it's historical fiction, but I think it's potentially a bit of like a crime mystery as well. I'm not really sure, and honestly like the back does not help at all. But I'm intrigued by this and I'm intrigued to read it. I really don't have anything else to add about this one. It's over 800 pages, and to be honest, the reason I feel like I will definitely read it in 2023 is because there's another book coming out called The Luminaries, and it'd be very confusing to have 2 luminaries on my TBR. So here we are. Then we have an oldie, but hopefully a goodie. This is The Raven Boys. I hear so much about this series. I hear like it's classic YA fantasy, you're gonna love it, it's gonna be amazing, it's gonna have like so much. I really still love YA fantasy. It is like a part of YA that I'm still really intrigued by and still most of the time really enjoy. So I'm really intrigued by this, and I own book 1 in the series, so I feel like I might as well give it a go. This says, even if Blue hadn't been told her true love would die if she kissed him, she would stay away from boys, especially the ones from a local private school known as Raven Boys. They only mean trouble. But this is the year that everything will change for Blue. This is the year she will be drawn into the strange and sinister world of the Raven Boys, and the year Blue will discover that magic does exist. This is the year she will fall in love. yeah, it sounds exactly like your classic YA, like fantasy, romance, probably a mystery in there that's quite easy to solve, but I think it could be a lot of fun and I'm really intrigued by it and I've really wanted to give it a go for a while. Then, to follow that up, next on the list we have a classic, The Hobbit. I've never read The Hobbit. I really want to. I own both The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings books and I've never read them. I am really intrigued by this. I really think it could be cool, could be good, and also I'm pretty sure this is like meant to be a kid's book, so I'm hoping even though it's like big, magical and crazy, it'll still be relatively easy to understand and easy to wrap my head around the story. I've also heard it really helps reading The Hobbit before Lord of the Rings, and I'm also a big fan of this edition I have. I'm pretty sure it's just like a standard edition that you can get in the UK. I've definitely seen it in loads of places. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with it and really want to give it a go. I'm not going to read the back because I know basically nothing about this and I don't know how I know basically nothing about this, but somehow my brain has just like stayed away from every and all spoilers, so that is all you're getting, but I do want to read The Hobbit. Then at number 19 we have Pandemic. This is one that I really definitely want to read. I recently read the first chapter of it in a first chapter challenge video and also got in the comments of the video like how good it was and like people reaffirming that, and it's made me want to read it even more. So in 2023 I will definitely be reading this one. It is about a pandemic and about the outbreak of a pandemic, but it takes place like literally like as it's happening. So a lot of other books I've read about pandemics have taken place either way after or throughout multiple timelines, but this one is literally like, you know, I'm pretty sure it's all from a doctor's perspective and it's as these things are happening. It is very much the like first person response to it, and we are following an epidemiologist, so obviously we're going to get a lot of inside information. And I'm not going to read the whole synopsis, but I will just read this small chapter here. It says, to find a cure, Dr. Shaw must trace the origin of the pathogen, but with each passing hour her suspicions grow. This outbreak is no natural catastrophe. And that just got me, that gripped me. I want to know what's going on and I want to know more, so that's what I plan to do. And then the other book that I read in that video and like has also intrigued me just as much is The Library of Shadows. This is one that has been like kind of like on the back burner list for ages and ages. I don't even know when I got this book or like where, but I read the first chapter of it and it gripped me so much that I just need to read more of it. Or it is one where after reading the first chapter I didn't want to put it down. Like I made myself put it down, but I was proud of myself for putting it down because I could have just kept reading. On the back it says, imagine that some people have the power to affect your thoughts and feelings through reading. They can seduce you with amazing stories, conjure up vividly imagined worlds, but also manipulate you into thinking exactly what they want you to. When Luca Capelli dies a sudden and violent death, his son John inherits his second-hand bookshop, Libri di Luca, in Copenhagen. John has not seen his father for 20 years since the mysterious death of his mother. After Luca's death is followed by an arson attempt on the shop, John is forced to explore his family's past. Unbeknown to John, the bookshop has for years been hiding a remarkable secret. It is the meeting place for a society of book lovers and readers who have maintained a tradition of immense power passed down from the days of the great library of ancient Alexandria. Now someone is trying to destroy them, and John finds he must fight to save himself and his new friends. That sounds so good, and like chapter 1, as I read it, it's like the father's perspective, like up to, you know, it says it on the back, so hopefully no one sees this as a spoiler, but up to him dying. And yeah, it's mental. I loved the first chapter so much that I just can't wait to read this book, and I think it's going to be so interesting and have so much to say and do, and I'm very, very intrigued. Okay, we've only got 3 left now. So number 21 is another non-fiction, and this is Disfigured on Fairy Tales, Disability and Making Space. And it's essentially how like disabilities have been seen throughout media and books and everything for a long time, and how the depictions of people often of villains in these situations has negatively affected the disabled community, I guess is the best way to say it. So it says, fairy tales shape how we see the world. So what happens when you identify more with the beast than the beauty? If every disabled character is mocked and mistreated, how does the beast ever imagine a happily ever after? Amanda the duck book looks at fairy tales from the Brothers Grimm to Disney, showing us how they influence our expectations and behaviour, and linking the quest for disability rights to new kinds of stories that celebrate difference. I just think it's going to be so good, so insightful and very educational as well. Like, this is a subject that I feel like I know where I stand, I know what I agree with, but I don't have anything to back it up. I don't have any, like, you know, really like obvious come to mind examples, and I also don't have like solutions for change and for moving forward, which I don't know for definite if this book does, but I just feel like it will. Then we have a bit of a strange one, but that is The Art of War. I just feel like this is one that you should read at some point. I mean, maybe not, like, I guess personally I feel like I should read at some point. It is very well known, it has influenced a lot of people, and I want to know why. Why is it so good? Why is it so important? Why are so many people got so much out of this book? I don't know, but I'm going to find out. That's literally all I have to say about it. It's tiny, I don't think it'll take long. This version of it that I have was translated by John Minford. So yeah, I don't really know much about the different translations, if there's a big difference. It's just honestly one that I found. I don't know if it is a free little library or a charity shop, but it was a charity shop and I paid £1.95 for it. So yeah, I just feel like I should give it a go, see what I feel, and maybe do a bit more research into it just to make sure, you know, I'm getting what I need to get out of it. And then last but not least, we have Horror Store. This is a Grady Hendrix book. This would be the first Grady Hendrix that I will read. I've had, like, honestly, I've probably said it at points before because I've had the video idea in my mind for so long now. I want to read Horror Store at IKEA. Horror Store is a very similar store to IKEA. I don't think it is an exact replica because I'm pretty sure I've heard that IKEA is mentioned within this. So, like, it's like an adjacent store, I guess. But yeah, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to go to IKEA and at least start it in there, you know, get me my vegan meatballs and chips and read my Horror Store book and maybe get a cinnamon roll to end with. But yeah, that's the plan, that's what I want to do, and at some point in this year I'm going to make it happen, because in 2022 a couple of times I've had it on my TBR and I've really tried, but I just haven't found the time. This year I will find the time. I will eventually read my first Grady Hendrix, which I think is also important because I feel like this could be a new author that I also really love. So yeah, that is the last book. I really hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed all of this. I now have to try and take a thumbnail holding all of these, so that should be interesting. But yeah, if you want to see any more like this, then please do subscribe down below. If you liked this video, please do give it a like, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Bye.